Welcome back to Football for Her, the podcast where football finally makes sense. I'm your host, Dee Dee, and today we're talking about something that can completely change the team overnight: trades. Sometimes a trade helps a team improve, but sometimes a single trade changes the entire league. And today we're going to look at trades that did exactly that. Football is more than just a game. It's a year-round party, and not everyone speaks the language. Here we break it down in real time, fun, simple, and judgment-free. Welcome to Football for Her, where anyone can learn the NFL from a woman's perspective. I'm Dee Dee, raised in a football family. Stick with me, and you'll speak football for her as well. Let's talk football. It's time for the word of the week. Today's football word of the week is trade. A trade happens when two teams exchange players, draft picks, or both. Trades happen because teams are constantly trying to improve their roster. Maybe they need a quarterback. Maybe they need a stronger defense. Or maybe they're thinking about the future and want more draft picks. And don't forget about the salary cap that they are held to each year. So trades play a role in that as well. Trades are basically strategic deals between teams to try to build the best possible roster within their salary cap. When I first started really paying attention to football, trades confused me. From a fan perspective, it feels emotional. You get attached to players, you buy their jersey, you cheer for them every Sunday, and then suddenly, they're gone. But once I started understanding football from a team building perspective, I realized something. Teams aren't just thinking about today, they're thinking about years from now. So, as a Giants fan, I noticed in 2012 when we won the Super Bowl. So the 2011 Giants won the Super Bowl in the beginning of 2012. A lot of our players were traded, and it seemed like the 49ers were just taking like Mario Manningham and Brandon Jacob. But this was a really good season for those players. They were in the prime of their career. Some of them were free agents at the end of the season, and so they were, out there for the picking by other teams, and other teams took our players, and they kind of like destroyed the team that we had. I know a part of them did that because they wanted those elite players. But what I felt like as a Giants fan is that they just took away our best players. I mean, we still had our quarterback, but we lost a lot of our best players in that offseason. The landscape of the NFL has been dramatically reshaped by a few monumental trades. These deals didn't just move players, they built dynasties, altered draft strategies, and altered the trajectory of multiple franchises for decades. Here are some of the most impactful trades that changed the league forever. One of the most famous trades in NFL history involved running back Herschel Walker. In 1989, he was traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings believed he was the missing piece to win a championship. But what happened next shocked the league. This trade was also known as the Great Trade Robbery. So that should tell you something. Often cited as the most lopsided and impactful trade in NFL history, this deal built the Cowboys' 1990s dynasty.
People thought the Cowboys were crazy for doing this.
Herschel could be on his way to the Super Bowl, while the Cowboys could be on their way to the toilet bowl.
It has to be the number one because still to this day, nearly 30 years later, people still always say the Herschel Walker trade. Well, remember the Herschel Walker trade. You don't want that to be the Herschel Walker trade.
The Herschel Walker trade is a cautionary tale. It is a lesson to be learned. It's a campfire story among general managers in all sports.
The Dallas Cowboys showed everybody after that the value of draft picks. Now everybody hoards their draft picks because nobody wants to have the reverse Herschel Walker trade.
How about them Cowboys? Yeah!
dynasty. Okay, so the trade. The Dallas Cowboys traded running back Herschel Walker to the Minnesota Vikings. The genius of the trade was the inclusion of conditional draft picks attached to the players Minnesota sent to Dallas. In exchange, the Vikings sent a massive package of 5 players and 6 draft picks, including 3 first-rounders and 3 second-rounders to Dallas. If the Cowboys chose to cut or trade those specific players, they would receive high draft picks instead. Johnson immediately started cutting the players, hoarding the picks.
Number 1 picks.
In exchange for Walker, Dallas will receive a number 1 draft pick, plus 6 conditional draft choices over the next 3 years, including 2 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, and 1 third-round pick.
Just amazing, amazing talent for that 92, 93, 95 world champion Dallas Cowboys.
The guys he got back, he was able to flip them for conditional picks. And it was Emmitt Smith. It was Darren Woodson.
Dallas selects Emmitt Smith.
You may ask, why did the Vikings make such a trade? Honestly, they thought that Walker was the missing piece for a Super Bowl run, but he never quite fit their system.
He was terrible in Minnesota. He was an awful player in Minnesota. He was an awful fit. His talents did not translate in any way, shape, or form to what the Vikings were doing.
It's not only awful from the Viking standpoint because they traded away all these pieces that helped them get to an NFC Championship game just 2 years
to their
before.
system.
Not only that.
Meanwhile, Cowboys head coach Jimmy Johnson used those draft picks. They selected foundational Hall of Fame talent like running back Emmitt Smith, defensive tackle Russell Maryland, cornerback Kevin Smith, and safety Darren Woodson. This influx of young talent propelled the Cowboys. They won 3 Super Bowls, all because of that trade, and all within 4 years. Sometimes a team doesn't win the trade immediately, but they win in the long run. This was a long run payoff for Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, the problem isn't only that the Vikings are bad because of it. It's that it builds a dynasty on the other side of the ledger. And there's never been a trade this clear and this clean in terms of building up one franchise and sinking the other.
Jimmy Johnson's taken his team from the absolute worst to the absolute best in 4 years.
This trade equals 3 Super Bowls for the Cowboys. You can't ever say that in NFL history outside of this.
Next example, legendary quarterback Brett Favre. He spent most of his career with Green Bay Packers, but how did he get there? Because he wasn't drafted by the Packers. Shh. It was a trade. This trade was an enormous risk by the Packers general manager Ron Wolf. Brett Favre had only thrown 4 passes in his rookie season with the Falcons. 2 of those were intercepted. He was notorious for his partying lifestyle and actually failed his physical with the Packers due to a degenerative hip condition. Wolf overruled the team's doctor and insisted on the trade anyway. It was like an angel from heaven came to him in a dream and shouted to him, "Brett Favre is your next guy!"
From the get-go, Jerry Glanville, he had it out for me.
Mississippi, you're not going to play tonight?
Let me, I will.
I tell you what, we got to have 2 plane wrecks and 4 quarterbacks go down and you're it.
I was a traveling roadshow in Atlanta. The only thing they used me for was Jerry Glanville would bet guys when we went to stadiums that I could throw the ball on the 3rd deck. And hell, I thought I was somebody.
Come on, Mississippi Mud!
Number 76.
He said, everybody gather around after I walked through. Everybody, come on. Mississippi's gonna show us something. I bet anybody $100 Favre can throw it up in the 3rd deck. And sure enough, I throw it up in the 3rd deck.
He's either rookie of the year or he's out of here.
So that was basically what I was used for. And so when they got a 1st round offer for a 2nd round pick for a guy who didn't play, how could you not take it? No one, including me, knew what was to come.
This trade revived one of the NFL's most complacent franchise after decades of mediocrity. Okay, so the trade. Atlanta Falcons traded their backup quarterback, Brett Favre, to the Green Bay Packers for a first-round 17th overall draft pick.
Ron Wolf traded a first-round draft pick to bring him to Green Bay.
I staked my career here on Brett Favre, and he didn't let me down.
He was 248 pounds, and I think his diet consisted of red beans and rice and etouffee and barley and hops. And it was like, this guy's a quarterback, and so he was going to be the backup. Don Majkowski was an athletic guy who had made the Pro Bowl before, but it's all about making the best of your opportunities, right? And that came for Brett sooner than we thought.
In week 3 of the 1992 season, Majkowski went down.
Mike Holmgren said to me, "Steve, get Brett ready." I went, "Oh, geez, is he ready?" And I went, "Yeah."
This wasn't just a Packers comeback. It was Favre's coming out party.
There's a man, he's wide open, touchdown! It is caught, and the Packers have tied the game. These fans are going crazy. I mean, this thing is supposed to be over with.
Send him back out to Holt to win the game by 1, and his hands came off the ball, and boom, we win 24-23.
The Packers win it. How about that?
The impact. Once in Green Bay, he developed into a 3-time MVP and a Super Bowl champion. He started an NFL record 297 consecutive games, completely revitalizing the Packers and setting the stage for their modern era of consistent success, transforming Green Bay back into a powerhouse. Brett Favre's legendary toughness and Iron Man streak completely vindicated Wolf's gamble. Okay, so one of Brett Favre's accolades state that he started an NFL record 297 consecutive games. So let's stop and talk about that, what that statement means. Now, for each position, you have your backups and you have your starters. The starters will play at the beginning of the game and they play most of the time. Often a starter will be replaced by a backup due to injury, poor performance, lack of hustle, consistent mental errors, or disciplinary issues. This change can happen in the middle of a game, or they may just start it at the start of the next game. However, this did not happen to Brett Favre. He played as the starting quarterback week in and week out for 297 games in a row. Of course, this took multiple years to get to this number, because remember when Brett Favre was starting, they only played 16 games during regular season, and post-game is 4 or 5 games tops, something like that. So to get to 297 in a row, this took a lot of years. So this honor is the equivalent to having perfect attendance in the NFL. But week in, week out, year in and year out, Brett Favre was just amazing in the NFL, and this was a great trade for the Green Bay Packers. This next trade happened during the NFL draft, and it involved 2 quarterbacks who would both become legends. The San Diego Chargers drafted quarterback Eli Manning, but Manning did not want to play there. Meanwhile, the New York Giants had drafted Phillip Rivers. The teams agreed to a trade. Manning went to the Giants, Rivers went to the Chargers, and that decision shaped the careers of both players.
The Chargers had the number 1 overall pick. They were anticipating drafting and signing Mississippi quarterback Eli Manning when discussions with the Manning camp took an unexpected turn.
Well, initially, it was fine, great, and everything. And then just prior to the draft, we heard that there was a decision made by, I believe, Archie Manning that he didn't want Eli to come to San Diego.
This was something unheard of before it actually happened. In 2004, it was widely considered unique due to its nature of swapping 2 top quarterbacks, with the player drafted number 1, which was Eli, refusing to play for that team. The tension of the 2004 draft is unmatched in modern NFL history. The Manning family made it publicly clear that Eli would sit out of the season if the Chargers drafted him. A little history, I feel like Eli Manning was being a bit of a diva because the NFL football was kind of the family business. Archie Manning, Eli's father, was an iconic quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, Houston Oilers, and Minnesota Vikings in his day. Although Archie often played for losing teams, he was respected as an All-American from Ole Miss, setting a standard for elite quarterbacking. And that Eli and his brother Peyton later followed in his father's footsteps. Now, mind you, I'm a Giants fan, and I still wear an Eli Manning jersey, so I'm not a hater. I'm just stating facts. He was a diva.
Philip Rivers from North Carolina State rocketed late up the draft charts. His stock was boosted by his appearance in the Senior Bowl, coached by the San Diego Chargers staff.
I was able to play for them for that week, practice for them. They got to see a little bit how I led in the huddle, how I prepared. So I knew San Diego was a team that had an interest. I didn't know how that would shake out because they had the number one pick. The New York Giants I worked out for. To me, that was the least of the teams that were interested in the Pittsburgh Steelers at 11. I felt like, honestly, that's where I was going.
Now, Eli had concerns regarding the organization's management and stability. Also, Archie and later the rest of the family had concerns regarding the Chargers organization as well, specifically after they had spoken to Ryan Leaf's father about the team's lack of support for their players. This trade, Chargers called his bluff and selected him number 1 overall anyway, leading to the infamous and incredibly awkward moment of Manning holding up a Chargers jersey on stage.
With the first choice in the 2004 NFL Draft, the San Diego Chargers select Eli Manning, quarterback, Mississippi.
See now, he's getting booed all over the country.
Well, that's what's happened with this scenario here, and that's why Archie hastens, because what's happened is that now Eli is a villain.
Less than an hour later, the Giants, who drafted Philip Rivers 4th overall, struck a massive deal, sending Rivers a 2004 third-round pick and a 1st and 5th pick in the 2005 draft to San Diego in exchange for Manning.
When everybody else heard it for the first time, I heard it for the first time. So we were excited. We didn't know how to act because it was kind of like, is this real? I hadn't heard from anyone. Usually you get the phone call from the team. They kind of let you know, hey, we're taking you. I never got that call from the Giants. To this day, I never spoke to anyone. I just knew and felt I was 3rd on their list. But yet at the same time, you wanted to show respect to the Giants. I mean, the New York Giants just selected the 4th pick of the whole draft. At about that time, I had to do an interview with ESPN.
What have you been hearing? What are the teams telling you?
Well, I hadn't gotten a call yet from anybody. I'm just excited, as of right now, to be a Giant. And I don't know how everything's going to play out, but I'll be excited to see what happens.
How I found out I was traded to the Giants is I was kind of walking from interview to interview. Saw a little kid just bust through the door. He goes, Manning's been traded to the Giants. I go, is that true? Can anybody follow this up? Is this real, or is this kid just saying it?
San Diego Chargers and the New York Giants have exchanged their draft picks. Eli Manning and Philip Rivers.
It's real.
The impact. The Chargers used the extra picks to draft Pro Bowlers Sean Merriman and Nate Keating, helping them field highly competitive teams for the next decade. The Giants, on the other hand, secured their franchise quarterback, who would go on to defeat Tom Brady's New England Patriots in two Memorial Super Bowls in 2007 and 2011. While top pick trades are common, this specific drama and direct player-for-player swap of elite top pick quarterbacks in 2004 remains a landmark moment. Both quarterbacks had incredible careers, and it all started with one draft night trade. We talked about trading for an elite player that you thought was your missing piece in the Herschel Walker trade to the Vikings. We talked about betting it all in on a quarterback that had not even proven himself in the NFL yet, but the Packers just had to have Brett Favre. And we talk about a draft day trade where Phillip Rivers and Eli Manning, teams traded them on draft night. All three different types of trade where some teams felt like it was a good trade, while others may have felt like they drew the short straw. Guess what I just heard? Okay, what I just heard. So, the off-season headliners this week include the Ravens calling off a blockbuster trade for Raiders defensive end Matt Crosby, leading to the Ravens signing defensive end Trey Hendrickson instead. Before the trade season ended, the Cardinals said they were releasing quarterback Kyler Murray, and the Vikings emerged and grabbed that king. Other moves involved Kings acquiring wide receiver DJ Moore and defensive end Bradley Chubb. The Bucs signed Muhammad, but they believed to really preferred Hendrickson, and we told you guys that he was going to be a king. But the Ravens did snatch him for $112 million. However, Muhammad was an asset to the Lions last year with 11 sacks and 20 quarterback hits for the Lions, and this year he was like, show me the money. And the Bucs did just that. 49ers defensive end Bryce Huff retired, mainly due to salary cap. He was coming in over $17 million in 2026. And they were like, so he retired. Here's the real tea. Dak Prescott called off his engagement, but Sarah Jane Ramos is setting the record straight by saying it was not over a prenup. Now, although they're not telling us why they actually did split up, we're going to respect their privacy. They do have 2 children, and they said that they're both pretty sad that they're not getting married. Now, if you've been watching already, you know that there was a big blow up at their bachelorette party, and they called off the wedding less than a month before the actual marriage was supposed to take place. There were rumors about infidelity, and so we don't know what happened, but stay tuned. If we figure it out, Football for Her will let you know with the tea. All right, well, that's what I heard. It's trivia time. Okay, now it's time for the NFL Football for Her trivia of the week. So, question: which 2 quarterbacks were traded for each other during the 2004 NFL Draft? Think about it. The answer is Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers. Football is full of moments that shape the game, and sometimes those moments happen off the field because one trade can change everything. And now, when you hear about an NFL trade, you'll understand just how powerful it can be. And that is Football for Her, where football finally makes sense. All video recordings came from YouTube and were uploaded by NFL Films. Thank you. Please follow me on all of my socials: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Thank you for listening today.